In Japan, there are various laws in place to protect workers. To work in Japan with confidence, it is essential to understand the systems and rules related to employment. In this context, we will explain essential knowledge for employment, including bank accounts, job search methods, and rules regarding salary and working hours. In Japan, most companies pay salaries by depositing money into their employees' bank accounts. Besides receiving salaries, bank accounts are also used for sending money abroad or receiving money from overseas. When opening a bank account, you need to apply for account opening at a bank. The documents required for opening a bank account include a passport, residence card, personal seal, hanko, employee ID, or student ID, among others. After opening a bank account, if there are changes in your address, resident status, duration of stay, or employment, you must notify the bank. If you no longer need to use your bank account, such as when leaving Japan, follow the procedure for closing the account at the bank. It is a crime to give or sell your bank account, cash card, or passbook to others. You must never do this. Receiving or buying these items from others is also a crime. There's a government office called Hello Work, Public Employment Security Office, in various locations in Japan where you can search for jobs for free. At Hello Work, it not only helps you find a job, but also introduces you to a job and provides free job search assistance. Some Hello Work offices have interpreters, and there are Hello Work offices where you can get phone consultations in foreign languages. You can find information on foreign worker employment support on the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare website. When searching for jobs, make sure to confirm whether the job aligns with your resident status and falls within the scope of your permission for activities outside your qualifications. Once you secure a job, you will enter into a contract with the company. This contract is called a labor contract. It is also referred to as an employment contract. There are various types of employment arrangements. The type of employment is determined by the contract. Regular employee works full-time for the same company. Dispatched employee contracts with the dispatch agency and works for different companies. The salary is paid by the dispatch agency. Contract employee. The contract specifies the duration of employment. Each contract lasts for a maximum of 3 years. Part-time employee works fewer hours than regular employees. Outsourcing and subcontracting. Not an employee of the company. Works on tasks outsourced by the company. The money received from the company is not a salary, but rather payment for the work. The rules that protect individuals receiving a salary and working do not apply. When entering into an employment contract, the company must communicate the rules for employment. Check if the following information is in the contract documents. Duration of the contract. Whether you can enter into a new contract after the current one ends. Where and what work you will be doing. Your working hours, including start and end times, and days off. Your salary amount, payment schedule, and method. When and how the employment contract can be terminated. There are certain things that should not be included in employment contracts. Check that the following terms are not in the contract documents. How much you must pay if you make mistakes or deviate from the contract. The company lending you money and deducting it from your monthly salary. the company making deductions from your salary for dormitories or travel without consulting you. After entering into the contract, if you discover that the work differs from what was agreed upon in the contract, you have the right to terminate the contract. If you encounter issues related to your job, consult the Labor Standards Office in your residing prefecture or the Foreign Workers Consultation Corner. In Japan, the minimum wage is determined by law. Salary amounts must be at least equal to or higher than the minimum wage. If the received salary is lower than the minimum wage, you can later claim the shortfall. The minimum wage varies depending on the prefecture and the nature of the job. You can check the minimum wage on the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare's minimum wage website. When starting a job, confirm whether your salary meets or exceeds the minimum wage. Generally, salaries are not paid for periods when you didn't work. However, if you are required to take time off from work due to company circumstances, the company must pay you an amount equivalent to at least 60% of the average wage for that period. This is called temporary leave allowance. There are rules regarding how salaries should be paid. There are also rules about how salaries are paid. Salaries must be paid in money. Salaries must be paid directly to the employee. Companies are not allowed to deduct salaries without authorization. However, deductions for taxes, health insurance, and other insurance premiums are legally permitted. Typically, these deductions are made from the salary. Salaries must be paid at least once a month on a regular basis. If you have questions about the minimum wage or how salaries are paid, consult the Labor Standards Office in your prefecture or the Foreign Workers Consultation Corner. Working hours should not exceed 8 hours per day and 40 hours per week. Companies must provide breaks during working hours. Breaks should be at least 45 minutes for those working more than 6 hours a day and at least 60 minutes for those working more than 8 hours a day. Companies must provide days off. Days off should be at least 1 day a week or 4 days in a 4-week period. There are paid annual leave days. You can take these days off and still receive your salary. To be eligible, you must have worked continuously for the same company for 6 months, and you must have attended work on at least 80% of your scheduled work days. Working more than 8 hours a day is referred to as beyond regular hours. It's also known as overtime. Working on days off that the company is obligated to provide is called holiday work. Companies must establish rules with their employees regarding the limits of overtime and holiday work. Companies are required to pay higher than normal wages for overtime and holiday work. Overtime wages are typically 25% or more above the normal wage. Holiday work wages are typically 35% or more above the normal wage. Nighttime work between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. is typically paid at 25% or more above the normal wage. Nighttime overtime work between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. is typically paid at 50% or more above the normal wage. The total of overtime and holiday work hours must not exceed 100 hours per month, regardless of the circumstances. Overtime work for the year must not exceed 720 hours. There are special leaves for childbirth and child-rearing. A company cannot demand employees to resign if they take time off. There are specific application deadlines, so it's best to consult with the company as soon as you know you need time off. Maternity and parental leave. Maternity leave that can be taken by women working in a company before their baby is born, and parental leave that must be taken after the baby is born. Maternity leave can begin as early as 6 weeks before the expected date of the baby's birth. For twins or more, maternity leave can start as early as 14 weeks before the expected date of the baby's birth. After the baby is born, you must take at least 8 weeks of leave. However, if more than 6 weeks have passed since the baby was born and the mother wishes to work, she can do so in a job approved by a doctor. During the leave, you won't receive a salary, but you can receive childbirth allowance from health insurance. Child care leave. It's a leave that both fathers and mothers can take to raise their children. You can take this leave until your child turns 1 year old. You can divide this leave into 2 periods. There is also post-birth paternal child care leave called paternity leave that allows fathers to take up to 4 weeks of leave within 8 weeks of the child's birth. This leave can also be divided into 2 periods. During the leave, you won't receive a salary, but if you work for more than 20 hours a week and are enrolled in employment insurance, you can receive child care leave benefits from employment insurance. Understanding these rules and working also contributes to protecting yourself. People who are working should make it a habit to review the rules whenever the situation changes